Hi, everyone. Today, I want to talk to you about annotating text while using Google Docs. Now, I included a video for you about generally speaking how to annotate because normally it would be done in a book or on paper with a highlighter and pens. But in this day and age, we're now doing so much more virtually online. So you need to know how to annotate using Google Docs. Now, luckily, it's not very hard. The video I included from YouTube does a good job at talking about like what things to annotate, but I'm going to go over a little bit more about the technical parts of how to annotate using Google. So, of course, annotating is just interacting with the text while you're reading it. It's basically taking notes while you read. And those notes can include questions that you have, reactions that you have, if something seems important to you, if something is it seems like the main idea or a detail you don't want to forget, maybe there's a word you don't know, or maybe there's a reference to something and you're not sure what they're talking about. So that's what we're looking for as far as annotations. Now, this piece is written by John Lewis, and he wrote it shortly before he passed away. He knew he was dying of cancer, and so he wrote this as sort of his last words to Americans and asked that the newspapers publish it right after he died. So it's a pretty moving piece from a man who really is kind of speaking to us from like beyond the grave. And so I hope that you enjoy it in the way that you can respect what someone's perspective is, knowing that this was his last thing that people would hear from him. Now, as for the annotating, you have really the big thing is highlighting and adding comments. Those are going to be your main tools. So you're going to see that I have actually done a couple of them for you. So I'm going to point those out first. I thought that you might not be familiar with Emmett Till. In this sentence, it says, Emmett Till was my George Floyd. And so we know from that line that Emmett Till is probably someone who was killed. But who was he? So you'll see that it's highlighted, and there's a note here off to the side that kind of corresponds nearby. And there's a link. And so if you click on this link, it actually takes you to a short article about who Emmett Till was. And so I've done that a couple times throughout the text for Mother Emanuel Church in South Carolina, and then for Beloved Community. All of these have some type of response or link or explanation beside it. But then you also see here, I just have a highlighted word, the word complicit. And that's a vocabulary word that I think you might not be that familiar with. So you might say, okay, Ms. Coles thinks complicit is a word I need to pay attention to. And so you read the sentence, he said we were all complicit when we tolerate injustice. And I think, okay, well, based on what I see, I think it might mean he said we were all complicit when we tolerate injustice. Maybe he's trying to say that we're all guilty if we tolerate injustice. So I could say it might mean guilty. And you'll see I highlighted, I pressed the plus button, and then I hit comment, and there it is. Now, if I want to then go back and see, hey, was I right? I could click on it, and it gives me a new box. And I could actually, I'm not going to do it here, but I could go to dictionary.com, find the definition for complicit, and then add the dictionary definition here to compare, to see how close I got to the actual definition. So that's one way of annotating is you highlight, you add the comment, and in this case, it's a vocabulary word, and then you can also check and look up the word and add to your comment. You can keep kind of adding as much as you'd like, and I can actually respond to. So I want to go ahead and actually get rid of that one. I'm going to hit the check mark, so then it disappears. Okay, but let's say I'm a student, I am reading, and I say, I'm going to just pick a random paragraph. That is why I had to visit Black Lives Matter Plaza in Washington, though I was admitted to the hospital the following day. I just had to see and feel it for myself that, after many years of silent witness, the truth is still marching on. And so I don't know if I have a question about that, but I do have a reaction. It doesn't come straight to my mind. I kind of have to think about it, but it made me stop. and made me feel something or think something. And I thought, for someone, because I'm pretty familiar with John Lewis, for someone who's fought so hard for the rights of Black Americans and the freedoms and the rights to vote and the right to vote, that this must mean a lot to him. So that's really what I want to say, is that this visit must have meant a lot to him after so many years of fighting. Okay, so there's my comment. I'm going to hit comment. Okay, and that's pretty much it. Again, I could have a question as well. Like when he says the truth is marching on, maybe I want to know, what does he mean by truth? Right? Like, I want to maybe think about that more carefully. I want to try to clarify it for myself. Okay, so that's basically it for annotating the text on Google. You're going to ask questions, you're going to make comments, you're going to have reactions, you're going to look up words that you don't know, or at least try to guess what those words mean. And that's all you have to do. A lot of times students will say, well, how much do I have to annotate? My rule of thumb is if you annotate once per paragraph, you've done the bare minimum. Okay, like that's fine. If you do anything above and beyond that, great, wonderful. That means you're really putting time and effort to this, and your grade will, of course, correspond to that. So again, I hope you enjoy reading this pretty moving piece. I hope you learn more about John Lewis, because he had a remarkable life, and he's someone worth knowing about. And have a good day.